Hi everybody. This part of, or this episode of the videos is about seeds, okay? Flowers and seeds together. So there's quite a few flowers that I can show you, and I'm going to start with one that you'll probably all recognize, and I don't mind pulling one off because there are so many. Who knows what that's called? You got it. It's a dandelion, okay? So a dandelion, like I showed you in the stem video with the calendula plant, you can see it grows a stem to push the flower up in the air, okay? Now so that's one kind of flower. So it's yellow. Most flowers are very attractive. It means they have bright colors to attract the insects, the pollinating insects like bees, and certain kinds of flies also help pollinate. So they attract the insects, and just like when I showed you the calendula video, the insects hop around from plant to plant, okay, and they mix up the pollen with the flower, and when the pollen gets to each flower, it will create something. And you probably know this too because you've seen it. So that was a dandelion flower, and guess what happens? Most everybody probably knows what happens. This is what happens after, okay? That was a flower from a dandelion. Now it is a seed head, okay? So everybody knows about this, right? Now, why? You can see here behind me, here's a dandelion with really tall stems, okay? Super tall stems. When it gets to the stage where it's going to turn the flower into seeds, it grows even taller. And the reason for that, especially with a dandelion, is because the way dandelions plant themselves, so I'm going to hold this up. There's some of the fluff from the dandelion, and I think you can see at the very tips up here, those are all seeds. Each one of those seeds can turn into a dandelion plant, okay? And so if the flower's stem grows up really tall, when the wind blows, or somebody blows onto it, okay, then the wind's blowing across the tops and it's spreading the seeds all over, okay? So some people aren't a big fan of dandelions. I like some of them to grow in my garden because it attracts all those good beneficial insects. Beneficial means they do something good in the garden, okay? So because I leave dandelions in here, I attract insects early. And if the insects know that this is a place where they can come and collect nectar, they'll keep coming back. And as I grow other food plants, they'll help pollinate. That means spread the pollen around the flowers. They'll help pollinate them too. So that's one flower. Here's another flower. And again, you can see evidence of flowers and seeds on this plant. So there's the flower, okay? And then each one of these you can see all these little branches. I'll pull one off and show you a little bit more close up. Each one of those is kind of like a pod, okay? So inside here, later on, it's not quite developed yet, but inside here is going to develop a whole bunch of seeds, okay? And I am actually growing this to collect the seeds because this is a turnip plant, okay? A turnip is a root vegetable that you eat, but if you grow it, when you plant it in the ground, so if I collect these seeds and plant them next year, I can grow a turnip. And then if I pull the turnip up and sell it at the market, and somebody eats it, that's the end of the turnip's life. But if I leave some turnips in the ground, like I did with this one, so you can see here's the turnip plant with all the flowers and the seed pods. But if I look closely at the ground, I can see down here, there is the turnip, okay? So turnips are a type of plant just like carrots. They need to grow for 2 years before they can make seeds. Okay, so it's a turnip flower and a dandelion flower. In this part of the garden, I'm going to look for, so you can see behind me. Oh, there we go. There we go. Here's another flower. Okay, and we saw a pepper leaf inside the greenhouse, but this is a pepper flower. Okay, so same thing that we talked about in the last two plants. Flowers come up. So the stem holds up the flower so the insects can see it. And then the pollen gets dropped in all the flowers. And then, like the dandelion and the turnip, it will produce seeds. But with a pepper plant, what carries the seeds? is the thing that we eat. It's the green pepper. Okay, so if you've ever cut open a green pepper at home, you might have noticed inside there's a whole bunch of seeds. Okay, and you can actually sprout those seeds. Usually, if you buy organic food, you can definitely sprout them. Sometimes other foods, for some reason, they don't sprout. Okay, but for peppers and tomatoes and a few other types of plants, the flower grows. Same thing, it develops seeds, but what surrounds the seeds is the fruit, and the fruit is what we want to eat. Okay, so I'm gonna walk quickly back to the greenhouse. Yeah, so you can see behind me the garden. Back there, all that green stuff is garlic growing. So garlic has a flower too, but I never really let the flowers grow. So on this plant, we're gonna find one where you can see, here we go. So back to the cucumber. So here we go, there's the flower at the end. And you can see, I'm gonna pluck it off for now. You can see here, down here, that is a little tiny baby cucumber. So this type of cucumber plant, it will grow the fruit anyway, but the plant grows a flower too, so that inside the fruit, seeds will grow. Okay, so if there's ever a flower, there's going to be seeds somewhere in the plant, somehow. And in a cucumber, they grow inside the fruit, just like inside a pepper, or let's look at a tomato flower. The tomato flowers are just starting to come out. So you can see, let's see if you, it's hard for me to see the screen and tell if you can see what I'm seeing, but there's a tomato flower plant, okay? So tomatoes, like the cucumbers and the peppers, they grow a flower to attract the insects so that they can develop seeds, but a tomato also grows a fruit around the seeds. So if you've ever sliced open a tomato and you can see inside all the seeds, that's because the flower was there and it got pollinated by an insect. Okay, so that's a little bit about flowers and a little bit about fruits.